I would just like to draw all of your attention to the fact that at this recording, it is October 15th. We are halfway through the 10th month of the year. 2.5 months to go. Are you financially prepared to deal with the tax season of 2023? If you're not, go over to m3virtualaccounting.com and set up a completely free consultation with Molly Morris. I really wish, and I know I say this every time, but I genuinely mean it. I really wish that I had hired her years ago. It would have saved me so many headaches. Just please take my advice. I don't personally endorse things often, but I endorse Molly. m3virtualaccounting.com. This is an Unspoiled Network podcast. This is Unspoiled, covering Ted Lasso, Season 2, Episode 3. Do the Right-est thing. In this episode, poor Sam is so psyched to get this deal, and then it turns out to be a deal with the devil. I really hate how cliche that is, but honestly, that's like exactly what it is. Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm Rashawn.
All right, so everybody, I have a confession to make right off the top. And Rashawn, you think you know what this is, but it's not that one.
Okay.
Everybody, I made a boo-boo. And I watched the next episode already.
Oh, come on.
I'm really sorry.
The next one is the Carol of the Bells.
It's really good. It's
a
really good episode. I am so sorry. Today, so this is what happened.
Legasp is correct. Legasp.
Cloak has typed Legasp in the chat for those who are like, what is she saying?
Well, that is all that really, just Cloak has summed it up. All of my outrage and my horror and my disappointment could not be better captured than those 6 letters.
Do you remember in The Wire when you watched the next episode over, but you didn't watch the one before it?
Bitch, yes and no.
That was one of the most confusing intros. I said the intro and Rashawn was like, wait, what? No, this is the one where blank blank happened. And I'm like, blank what happened? And she was like, wait, hold on a second. She had jumped one ahead.
I had. Yes.
But yeah, what happened was that I watched the next. See, this is part of why I don't fucking do this. I always say I want to watch the next one right away, but I'm going to wait until the day of so that it's fresh.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't stick to my word because I knew that I was going to be on vacation and I was like, I can't wait that long. So the night that we recorded, I watched the next one immediately with Owen. And then I went on vacation for like a week, and it's been 2 weeks since I watched this episode, and I watched it again, but like, and I was so sure we had recorded already on it because time just didn't make any sense. And I very cheerily went ahead and watched the next one, and then I went to type in the title on the post I made to remind everyone this recording was happening live. And I was like, wait a second. 4? No, that's not right. And then I went and looked, and I had everything. The description for episode 4, a still photo from episode 4 ready to go. And then realized we're not talking about episode 4. So everyone, I'm very sorry. It doesn't really change anything in the grand scheme because we are like, we're not having me watch them live.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's not really a plot spoiler next episode.
No.
So
There is not.
But it does kind of ruin but plus side, it was just such a good episode, so I'm very excited to talk about it still.
Well, I won't go. We will talk about that episode when it comes time to talk about that episode. But since it didn't go the way we had planned, I don't know if you remember, especially now, considering I had asked you something about. I had told you something about this season, and wanted you to keep an eye out for which episodes
right, that they like tucked in to sort of flesh the whole season out, right? Because they wanted 10,
right? They got a request for 12.
Right, I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
So this is one that was one of them, the holiday one.
That was one of them, and that's why it ended up not really being like
something
that seemed like it went with like the plot and everything. So
okay, well, I guess then if it was going to happen, that was a good one for it to happen with.
It was a good one for it to happen with. It is a fan favorite. I love that episode.
I mean, it's so pure,
it's
beginning
so
to
good.
end.
It's so good. So I can't wait to talk about that next.
I'm going to have to, yeah. All right. Yeah, we're going to regroup. We're coming back to this one.
Yeah.
So this one is when Jaime returns to the team. And I was really surprised that there was never a conversation between Sam and Ted. And that might be coming, but it does not happen here. There's just a moment where he walks past Ted in the locker room and just gives him a look.
There's a lot of knowing looks exchanged, but there's never a real conversation that we get to see on screen.
And I couldn't, the look he gives Ted isn't even really a dirty look. It's a look of like,
I told you.
Yeah, just like kind of resignation.
Yeah, just like,
Yep.
Yeah, this is pretty much what we all said was going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah, when Jaime like shows up, he shows up. Well, I'm kind of getting ahead of things, but that's because it's the main thrust of this episode. But when he shows up, he just like walks out onto the field because Ted has not decided to like warn anybody that this is happening or anything.
Well, the last episode is when he shows up on the field.
Right.
So this episode, a little bit of time has passed, I think.
But he has not like reintegrated.
But it hasn't like really reintegrated. And it is clear that the rest of the team is not with this choice at all.
They're all joking around about this it's Air Dubai, right? The deal that Sam's got going on.
Yeah.
And
but that's a little bit later in the episode.
Okay.
Like it opens with him meeting Nora, which I don't want to skip over Nora because she's a lovely character. And I really like this exchange when we first see her when Ted comes into the office.
When he asks, are you new around here? She says, on planet Earth? No. I'm 13 years old, but I'm also fairly certain this is my third life reincarnated. And
he's very impressed because he feels like his third time around, he was probably just a horsefly.
This is one of those things where I'm always just like, I really want to know how this evolution goes in his head. Because I think for most people, it's like you start out as a one-celled organism, and then in every reincarnation, you like level up until you're a person.
That's my general understanding of how that reincarnation works.
I feel like it starts as a human because that's the worst one, and then you slowly get to just become less and less conscious until it's blissful oblivion.
That is actually a program I could get behind. If that was how it worked, I'd be much more invested in this philosophy. Just fucking keep trying until you come back as like a house cat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that frog meme. A witch turned me into a frog to punish me, and I experienced happiness for the first time in my life. And the witch was like, "Wait, no." So yeah, he says this thing about a horsefly. She says, "I've never seen a horsefly. I saw a horse pee once." Which is just that's a joke on its own. And then she adds, "That was a lot." And it's like too much joke in one sentence. It's so much happening.
And we cut to Sassy and Rebecca, and we get the tail end of their conversation. And it's just Sassy being like, now that I've got that lower back tattooed all removed, I kind of miss it.
This is one of those things that I'm like, I should maybe get a lower back tattoo, because out of like many places in my body, that's going to stretch probably the least. Like, lower back is not really an area that's going to change too much.
The lower back tattoo got so much slander that is 100% rooted in misogyny.
Yep.
Oh, it's a tramp stamp.
Yep.
Which it's a fantastic space on your body to put art, especially if you don't like want your tattoos for the world to see, which I personally am all about having tattoos for the world to see. But if you're not into that, it's a great space on your body. It's a little painful, but it's not like the most painful part of your body to get tattooed. And they just completely turned it into a joke.
Yeah.
Oh, that's trashy. That's a whore, whatever. It's a fucking tattoo on your lower back. Like, what's the problem? It's your back, the least sexy part of your body.
It's because it's above your ass crack.
Yeah.
So they associate it immediately with like a whale tail, I guess, or something like that. Like, it's got the same place in the psyche of men. I don't know. But yeah, I think sometimes about all of the arbitrary things that we've decided are sexy or sexual, and how many leaps it takes sometimes to like get to the point where you're like, oh, is that why? And honestly, we are a mess. We are all over the place with the stuff we decide is sexy and not sexy.
I mean, and then the stuff that we decide, like, people make jokes all the time about, back in the day when you would just see a woman's ankle and how like titillating that would be, because it was the only part of the body you would ever maybe see.
Yep.
So we sexualized ankles. We can do it with anything. It's like
anything.
It's like Play-Doh. We can just turn that shit into anything.
On the way, our vacation, we drove to Oklahoma and stayed in a cabin there, and the drive was through woods and everything. And I was like, let's listen to the audiobook of The Headless Horseman, which is delightful. This is the legend of Sleepy Hollow. There's some unfortunate racism in there, also some sexism in there. But despite all this, I still very much enjoy it. And there is a part where he's talking about the local coquette and how she wore her petticoats provokingly short to display the prettiest pair of ankles in the county round.
See?
Oh.
It's really the men, right?
Yep.
That's really what this is. And they will take anything and turn it into something to jerk off to. It's true. It's all it is. They'll just take whatever they can get and beat off to it. And next thing you know, you're a coquette if your ankles are showing. And meanwhile, you're just like, I didn't want to trip over my skirt, so I hiked them up a little bit.
But you were so provoking.
Right? I was trying to cross the shit-covered street because horses are shitting everywhere. I lifted my dress up a little bit, and next thing you know.
Oh, Lord. All right. So where were we? We were talking about her getting her tattoo removed.
Yeah, the little snippet of conversation before Ted comes in.
I like to think that this was completely ad-libbed. That they did not give her a line. They were just like, we want you talking about something when he comes in. Just say whatever. And she just had like 12 completely exceedingly bonkers things in a row for each take.
I love that.
So yeah, he comes in and we get confirmation that Sassy has talked to Rebecca about the fact that she has fucked Ted, because I was not sure if Rebecca knew, and I wasn't sure if he would tell her.
Right.
I am assuming that he must have talked to Rebecca about it himself also, because he seems to like take it for granted Rebecca knows when Sassy makes a joke about it.
Right. The only thing we really got on the show, if I remember correctly, is Ted asking the Diamond Dogs, should he tell Rebecca? And all of them being like, no, absolutely not. And Ted being like, but why not? Why wouldn't I tell her? And then that's pretty much like all we get.
I didn't even remember him asking that particular piece of advice. Okay.
Yeah, when he goes and talks to Beard and all the guys, and they're all just like, "Oh, absolutely not! Don't tell her," which is such a weird, Like,
yeah.
And Ted was like, "Why wouldn't I tell her? We're friends."
I wonder why they felt like. Do they think that something is going on between him and Rebecca?
No, the scene played kind of like this really weird. My thought of the scene is the show was sort of making this comment about how like weird men can be, or all of us really can be, about when you sleep with someone who's someone else's friend, and you think it's going to like complicate the friendship or maybe make it weird between the two women in some way, whatever. And then Ted is like in that scene, sort of like the rest of the world being like, why are you being all so weird about this?
Yeah.
There's nothing weird at all, but I don't think we ever get a scene with Ted and Rebecca talking about him having slept with Sassy.
Okay.
But I loved it.
Rashawn's trying to get it out, guys.
When Ted asks who's the new receptionist, and they tell him that, it's Sassy's daughter, Nora. And he makes the joke about like, is she mine? That's okay. That's all right, joke. It's okay. But Sassy being like, if I recall, memory serves.
You finished on my hey ho. Okay. No need to do that. Yeah, she just really went for it. And the idea of Ted Lasso coming all over some woman's tits is absolutely impossible for me to picture, ladies and gentlemen. I can't do it. Normally, I am excellent at thinking about what somebody would be like in bed. And I think that I said he would be really eager to please. I think those were exact words I said, which is what she says.
That's exactly what she says. And then, because Rebecca's like, was he... like, did he talk like that? And Sassy's like, the entire time.
I can't imagine it.
She buttons it with, "It was fabulous." And
how?
She's got to be talking about the eagerness to please, the willingness to just go 110%.
What does that sound like in sex? Oh, now, muddy wet, huh? Seems like somebody's having a good time. Let's see if I don't know, if I can fill in another middle America slang saying, but with dick somehow. I just can't imagine how that's like sexy or works to his advantage and not his disadvantage. It clearly worked to his advantage for her. I just can't. I'm sorry. I must just be suffering from a failure of imagination. And maybe it's on me that the only ways I can imagine sex talk happening are like kind of filthy and aggressive.
Yeah. I think, yeah. But, yeah, I guess if that's what you usually run into, which is either really, really boring guys or guys that are really selfish in bed, that if you happen upon a man who is really just here for you, we want to make sure you're having a good time. Are you enjoying the show? Can we get you anything else? Are you comfortable? Do you have enough snacks? Do you need a drink?
God, that's amazing. Yeah, what's the worst dirty talk you ever had in bed?
Oh God.
I was with a guy for too long who tried more than once to do baby talk.
Ew.
Baby talk is absolute death. It is execution of libido to me. Like, I don't understand how that even is in your head to do. And like, I'm not kink shaming anybody. You can be into whatever you want, but it is such a complete left for me that it's like,
I don't know if I've ever had that.
Did I even hear you correctly for a moment,
I don't think I've ever run into anyone bold enough to try that. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's gonna be a no for me. Not interested. Not even a little bit.
Yeah. There's that, or then there's just saying weird shit like Jerry. Seinfeld. What can I say?
Are those the panties your mother laid out for you? Girl, you know what I just learned?
What?
Like today, that one of those TIL posts.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been beside myself for the last like 3 days.
Uh-oh.
I don't know the details because I was so disgusted I closed the article.
Oh, no. What?
In some fashion, Steve Bannon? Is it Bannon or Banyan? It's Bannon, right?
Bannon, yeah.
He somehow is connected with the show Seinfeld in such a way that he makes millions of dollars from the royalties of that show.
Oh, man.
It's not like a creative part, but it has something to do with something he owned or something, you know what I mean? Like money-wise. And you
look,
guys,
Jerry Seinfeld himself sucks, but he's not Steve Bannon.
Right?
I mean,
like, I was already just right up against the line with my devotion to that show because Jerry Seinfeld just turned out to be such a jerk off.
Yep.
But he turned Jerry just turned into like an old man yelling at the clouds, kind of these kids today. But he's very careful about himself most of the time, so you won't see Jerry caught up in too much shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I had like enough plausible deniability to be like, okay, he grew up and sucks, but it's fine. But this Steve Bannon shit, y'all.
This is a different thing.
This is a different thing. It's a different thing. And when my stomach settles, I'll go look into it a little bit more.
This is why he'll make money off it as well, but probably like buying the seasons will net him less than just watching them streaming over and over again.
Yeah. Luckily, I think we already have all 9 seasons of the show on DVD. The question is, do we still have a DVD player?
That's the thing, right? Don't have one right now. Sure don't.
I think we still have one.
We have an Xbox, which is not hooked up to anything right now. Yeah. So,
yeah, Steve is a purist. He likes his porn on DVD.
Oh my God, really? Does he really? That's so limiting.
Well, no, we get it from the internet.
Sure, but you that's all you've got then. Like, if it shows up and it does not work for you, now you have to wait 2 to 3 days for the next something that you like. I go through so many videos, minute and a half, next one, 2 minutes, next one. A full film? That takes a kind of patience I just don't have.
No, they're more like a collection of vignettes.
Okay, so it's like you're scrolling through. All right, that makes more sense. That's fine. I take it all back.
All right, let's circle back around to Ted Lasso.
I just had this image of like making a business out of collecting the best vignettes of any very specific kink and selling that collection, and it's like not your actors, not your property in any way. You're selling the curation. I did the work for you.
It's like if you tried to sell your Spotify playlist.
Basically, yeah. It's like, look, they're each only 42 seconds long, but they are the best 42 seconds.
You
Trust
could,
me on this.
package it like a throwback. Like, you know, remember the days when you made mixtapes, kids?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
You know.
A mixed porn tape.
See?
I love this idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna workshop
TM, copyright.
TM. All right, so this little moment, she gets up and leaves, and he finds out that oh my God, I forgot that she says, you better carry a spare tampon, Miss Mary.
She's one errant cobblestone.
From her first period. And she's what, 13?
Mm-hmm.
And I got my period when I was 9. So
Jesus Christ on a crutch.
Yeah, finding out that like she's 13 but she hasn't had her period yet, I was just like, that would have been great.
Around 13 to 14 is when I got mine.
I wish. I really do. Sucks. I was so young that my mom was like, "It really? No." And I had to like prove it. And she was like, "Oh my God. Oh my God." But yeah. So this poor girl, I'm so sorry that you're in for this and that you don't know what's going to hit you. Sweet thing. But you're very lucky to have avoided it for this long. Good for you.
Who 11, Cloak says.
Yeah. And my grandmother ended up having to help me because my mom was on vacation in Mexico. Oh no. And yeah, he finds out that Rebecca is going to take her daughter out and let her do whatever, but it's not exactly her choice, as we find out to begin with. Rebecca chooses what they're going to do first.
Oh yeah, when they first go out because Rebecca is like desperate to make up for all this lost time, because she feels really, really guilty about it. And one of my favorite recurring things throughout the episode is how Nora just keeps giving her shit about it, but also like fucking with her in good spirits because she just is funny. But it doesn't seem like Nora has any real resentment, Yeah. Like Rebecca is clearly feeling awkward and guilty and trying to overdo and overcompensate. And Nora is just like, when Rebecca goes to pay the bill, she's like, you're going to come back, right?
Oh my God, that was so mean-spirited. Like, it wasn't really mean-spirited, but it felt like really harsh. But it's also like a good idea to sort of undermine that kind of awkwardness. So I get what she was doing. It was just...
I have to say, I really enjoy Nora throughout this episode. And I love the way that her and Rebecca play off of each other and how she sort of is pushing Rebecca to be her best self in some of these moments. So we get to open, and then we have a press conference because our boys are still just like 8 games into the season, and it's just been a draw every one.
Yep.
And the press is, banging on and on about like, when are you going to win a game? There's a funny little line about all these streaks. What is it?
This streak of draws. I don't think that you should ever be ashamed of a streak in your drawers. That's just a sign of growing up. Ugh.
And I think I love to it's the press conference when Ted calls the first guy and he says, give me your best Pat Benatar.
Yes.
And the reporter gets it and is like, and answers correctly, like, oh, give it my best shot. But then how satisfied the reporter is that he got it right.
Yeah.
There's like
a
little
fist pump. And yeah, Trent Krim is like, so what's up in the locker room since you've brought back a guy who's a notorious asshole to everybody and they all hate him? And we get to see right away what that is. And that is Sam joking around with his friends as they good-naturedly rib him about his Dubai campaign.
Yeah.
And Jaime chiming in with a comment that is just, first of all, not getting the vibe of what they're doing. But even if it were, it's not for you, Jaime.
Yes. He is sitting in the corner of the locker room by himself. The rest of the team is over in a huddle around Sam, congratulating him, joking, and the jokes are really like they're going hard, but with love. Like Isaac is like, I can't wait to your picture. No, Danny says, I can't wait to see your picture up in the tube, and then Isaac is like, yes, I can draw a dick on his face. But so Jaime tries to join in, and it is like record scratch.
Yeah.
And they all turn and look at him like, you can't sit with us. And he deserves that shit.
I was so proud of them. I was so proud. Like, it was a danger for me that Jaime could maybe rupture the unity of the team by coming back and make some people fall right to his side again as his little cronies. And I'm really happy to see that is in no danger of happening at all.
Not at all.
And this moment just reminded me of like, and this happened a lot more when I was recording with Brendan because I think we had more male listeners at the time. But I would get a lot of people coming into my tweets and comments with jokes that were way too familiar because they listened to us so often that they felt like they knew us. And so they could joke to us about the same things that we joked about with each other on the show.
Oh.
And it reminds me of this moment of just like, no, we say that. We can say this to him.
Mm-hmm.
You over there are not part of this. So no. And it's just a difficult thing to even know how to word a response to somebody that isn't just like, and who the fuck are you again?
Right.
Because, and again, people listen and they feel like we know each other. No, you know us, but we likely do not know you.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come at us with that energy that you think is playful,
yeah,
that does not feel playful because it's coming from a stranger.
It's coming from a complete stranger.
Yeah.
And you're talking to me like we go back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the things about podcasting. And I'm sure it probably translates to a lot of other areas too. Anytime you're doing something that is not necessarily a two-way, where there's just this over familiarity, and it can be really unsettling.
Yeah.
It can, so I really love this moment where the
and
whole
it's not
team...
like, sorry, I was just going to mention the parasocial relationship thing with the Try Guys. Did you see that whole mess happen?
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of it because I have no idea who those guys are, but I saw a lot of the fallout.
Yeah. And it's the kind of thing that I find really interesting because Brendan and I got divorced after doing the show for a couple of years, and it was not a big audience, but people were still really upset. And I often think about what would have happened if we made it this far and had as big an audience as we have now, and we split up. How different the experience would be now, but anyway, everybody has his back and nobody encourages Jaime, and there's just this incredibly unified moment of them walking away from him and leaving him. He's literally in the corner. He is not even mixed in physically with anybody.
He is sitting in the corner trying to chime in from his little alone area to be a part of what's happening, trying to insert himself into this camaraderie, and they are not having any of it. And I also like that I think it's a little bit later, Ted comes in and Jaime wants to apologize to the team.
It's right. It's pretty much right here. Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
And I appreciate that he's going to do this. He's going to fully address everything, but it's in a way,
which is not enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He says, I know I wasn't the greatest teammate, which not technically untrue, but also not quite the whole truth, is it, my friend?
You are underselling it, sir.
I did some shitty things. I said some shitty things, but I want each and every one of you to know that I'm truly sorry and I'm ready to do whatever it takes to make it up to you. And then we get a series of long-held complaints.
Yeah. He feels like Jaime thinks he's going to just say the thing, right? And then that's it. He doesn't realize that part of it is people get to say what they have to say back to you. That's part of being accountable. Yeah. Jaime is not really. He thinks he is trying to be accountable here. Yeah. But it's not. And once people start, hey, you did this, hey, you did that, and then it just erupts. It's my favorite of the whole thing is towards the end when everybody starts yelling. You can just barely hear it. But Jan Maas, the Dutch guy, he says, I don't know you, but I don't like you.
Yes, I caught that. And I was like, I feel like that's an appropriate reaction, all of this, sir. Look, I understand that you need to get to know a person on your own, but if you've got some friends you trust and they all say the same shit about somebody, maybe you can listen to them and that's fine. The first one is the worst, though. You called me a jaundiced worm.
Yeah,
I'm really sorry for that. In a profile for my hometown paper.
Yeah.
Ooh, Lord.
Yeah.
I couldn't that is
we don't know it, but you figure Jamie's a pretty, popular, on the rise star. and this local paper from wherever Colin is from gets to interview Jaime Tart. It's probably a really big deal. So the reporter probably is like, oh, well, one of our hometown boys plays with you. You know, Colin so-and-so. What do you think of him? And this is what fucking Jaime says. In the paper, his whole family is going to read the next day at the breakfast table.
Honestly, I'm a little impressed that he even knew the word jaundice, because Jaime is not rocking with a big vocabulary. It does not feel like.
He probably heard that somewhere.
The next one is, you hit on my mom in front of my dad. And I love this because he says, I'm sorry for that. Apologize to your dad for me.
Mm-hmm.
He does not.
No.
He does not. He sure doesn't. He doesn't even think about it. God, that's so appropriate.
He says, tell Janet I said hi.
I mean, give Janet me best. And then our French friend stands up and says something very angrily, and he is translated by Zorro. He said, you cupped a fart and put it in his face. It sounds better in French. And yeah, this begins the tidal wave of everybody. And he said, is there anyone else? You brought it on yourself. You opened the doors.
He opened that door a little bit. He really did. I love Colin screaming, I am not a worm.
And I wish a little bit, like, I understand that there is a point where you've got to, like, put all of this to bed, but I do kind of wish that Ted had let them have more of an opportunity, because it sounds like individual apologies were warranted. There was a lot that he did, and I wouldn't be mad if we just took some time and let everybody get their say. It's fine.
I think that, like, because at one point, because when Isaac starts being like, you got us relegated, and then everybody jumps up and they're all yelling, things are getting a little heated, and this is no longer just people, you know, having a moment to demand the apology that they deserve. This is turning into a little bit of a, we might just beat his ass.
Yep. Yeah. Which I wouldn't be mad about either.
Yeah, deserved.
That might fix it. But sometimes shit can be weird like that, and people are like, all right, now that we beat the shit out of you, we're fine.
That's absolutely a thing that can happen. You probably don't want it to happen in your professional sports locker room where these guys are all making millions of dollars. But
I guess.
So then we cut to this adorable little princess tea situation. That's very cute. What did you think of the tea?
I am so mad that Nora doesn't seem to like it, because she is basically like, we did this when I was a child and this is way too little for me. I, at 13, would have been absolutely eating this up. So I was so sad that she was looking around like, this is not my scene anymore. And I get it. Everything is for different people. But just the implication that it's for little girls, I was just like, it is absolutely not. And I am insulted by that implication.
I think the problem is that Rebecca took her to a place that caters to little girls.
I think you're right.
Like, Rebecca could have taken her to a very fancy hotel and did a high tea, you know, and, you know, gave her a chance to get dressed up, and they could have done it there as like two adults. But she took her to this place that's like, they're in a room with 4-year-olds.
That's fair. I think it's like an American Girl, like that. It's got that vibe to me. And since there was the talk of those like British version of the American Girl, it might be something related to that. Yeah,
they go out for a stroll when they leave the tea and come upon one of those British Girl stores. So yeah, maybe it was like connected in some way, you know, like to the American Girl, well, British Girl shop, and the tea room was right there.
Yeah.
But I thought the tea spread looked really nice, though.
Yes. I am such a fan. Yes. Everybody knows me and tea. Or if you don't, now you do.
Now you do.
Doing a big fancy high tea is like a thing. And we did it. We were so tired. Oh my God, you guys. We did it right before the wedding. And
it was a cute little place.
It
too.
was so adorable, and the food was good.
Yeah, it was really small, but it was so cute, and it was. I mean, they had all these like teaspoons and teacups decorating everything everywhere.
Every surface.
It was beautiful, but it was like so tiny.
The service was kind of back and forth. It was not great, but otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, but the aesthetic was on point.
Oh, so on point. The photos of me, I look like I haven't slept in, a week and a half.
Because we had not.
So yeah, she like realizes her mistake and looks around and is like, oh, okay. So do you want to get the fuck out of here? And Nora's like, yeah, I actually would like to do that post haste. But again, I took it personally and I know that I shouldn't. That's not the point. And yeah, the whole thing is really that Nora, she's trying to like reconnect with her and like you said, make up for lost time. And it's an interesting like time of Nora's life to have missed out on. It's such a like developmentally important section that you formulate a lot of your personality in those years. So it feels like she's getting to know her all over again.
Absolutely.
In a lot of ways,
Yeah. She was about 6 when Rebecca sort of dipped out of their life, and now Nora's 13. So she is, just about to leap into being a teenager in a real way, with her period is looming. She's got this crush on Sam, she is not the little girl that Rebecca remembers, and Rebecca has planned a day for the little girl that she remembers. And so she has to like shift and acknowledge that that's not who she's spending time with. But once she realizes that and she like gets to know who Nora is as this 13-year-old young woman, you see that relationship start to really blossom. And I was here for it. I thought it was really cute. And I like too that they decided to do a thing with Nora, and I feel like the little we know about Sassy, Nora has to be this way. Where Nora is speaking to Rebecca as in a very adult way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Some people might say it's like a little too mature for someone of 13. I don't spend any time around children, so I don't really know if that's accurate or not.
Yeah.
But I like that the Nora they gave us is confident. She's like clever. She's smart. She's got a good sense of humor, and she just says what's on her. She just says what she thinks. And I just really, really appreciated that, because a lot of times TV shows will introduce, a 13-year-old petulant teen who doesn't know how to communicate, only grunts and stays in their room and listens to their whatever music. You know what I mean? That
face in their phone.
Yeah, and they gave us a really engaging, intelligent young woman, and I just thought that was really cool to see on a show, because a lot of times you do not get that.
It's true. And there are times and places where the grunting face in the phone petulant teen is absolutely valid and real.
Yes, that
is
true.
But it is kind of played.
It is not the only experience,
So we go back to the field, and Jaime has been expressly told to like keep his head down, and then he just runs out onto the field doing frantic grapevines.
His little, is that what those are called? Grapevines?
Grapevines, yeah. It's like a warm-up move.
Yes, I didn't play anything ever, so I have no idea. But it's very cute.
That is like one of those that was the few warm-ups that I really enjoyed, because it's almost a dance move. So I was just like really into it whenever we would do those. They were real fun. Look, my favorite gym class was when we had country line square dancing for 2 weeks in the fall. God. So so yeah, he is not planning on keeping his head down, and We have Nate just being really gleeful about it because
he says, because they both look at him like, you know, I thought we said no Schadenfreude, you know, and he is just like, he was really a piece of shit to me, though. I don't, you know, I just need you guys to understand he was really terrible to me.
And I am not mad at him for that. Like, that's fair. It's not like he's doing anything in the moment to make things worse for Jaime. It's just that he is gonna sit back and let what happens.
Yeah. It's like they are going to absolutely murder him, and he is here for it. And so then Jaime is being Jaime. You know, he's not holding back. He's, you know, taking the ball. He's running down the field, and he gets checked by Sam, and it is glorious.
He gets checked hard.
It's so good. He's right on his ass.
I swear to God. And Sam stands over him.
Yes, he does.
And when he stands over him, the camera's at his back, like looking down on Jaime. And he says, some things have changed since you were here. And I'm ready for him to be like... And then the camera swings around and he's smiling ear to ear and just says, don't bring that weak rubbish my way. And then rubs his head like an affectionate little, like, aw, this puppy. And runs off. The whole vibe is so different than what I was expecting based on that first sentence that I was genuinely startled. And you can see Jaime is also like, I thought he was going to fight me and he just played with my hair, which is somehow worse. That was worse, right? Like, he's looking around.
He's just like, what the fuck?
I mean, if you're going to, like, mess with his hair, I think that's, like, pretty much going to send him through the roof, so. It's
so perfectly, like, condescending and sort of dismissive, you know? Like, you're not even worth me fighting. Like, you're nothing. Like, and then Colin comes over and is just like, who's the worm now?
Damn.
Because he also has some shit he needs to work out.
Yeah. And up in the stands, we've got Dr. Sharon. Is that what we call her? And she's taking notes, and Ted is looking very agitated because he's getting a bad grade from therapy.
Yeah. He is. Like, we don't really see a lot of Dr. Sharon in this episode. She doesn't have really any lines, hardly. There's like a little bit there. There's a little bit later with Lead Tasso, and then my favorite part of the episode is when Keely drops Jaime off in her office. That's like one of my favorite things I've ever seen on television. But each little moment that Dr. Sharon is in, I just enjoy her so much because she just seems to make everyone, well, no, not everyone, but Ted and a lot of the men kind of uncomfortable, like the coaches. You know, they seem very concerned with her watching and possibly critiquing and judging their performance, and it just makes me really happy.
Yep. And I mean, there is, you know, a sucker for authority figures and validation. If there was somebody like that watching, I would also be acutely aware. It would just be, you know, I would cope by joking about it around me, which would then give them other notes to write. But
and then before you know it, the whole notebook's filled.
And then we have the scene where Rebecca and Nora pass by the British girl shop. There's a mention of the difference between the way the British do it versus the way the Americans do it. Emma's
I
had
have no
scurvy.
idea. Is this a real thing or not?
The British girl shop?
Like, I know American Girl's a real thing, so I'm assuming British Girl's probably the same, right? But the joke that they're making. Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you would almost be an expert on this. I don't know why.
Nope. I like tea. That's the limit of my British knowledge.
But
I'm gonna look up British girl shop.
Like, they're joking about how all the British girls are orphans and whose parents died in like terrible ways. And when they bump into Roy and Phoebe's British girl, her parents haven't died. They've just been canceled.
I hate it. I just went and looked this up, and there's a website called A Girl for All Time that looks like it's British. They ship to Britain, and it doesn't seem like it's explicitly just British, but mostly British. Characters. The dolls are a lot creepier looking, though. I think they have a much more wide-eyed, blank expression. And no, there's something about the design of the eyes specifically. I'm going to send you a link to Clementine, your 1940s girl. But there is something about the way they've designed her face that makes her look particularly vacant. I think it's also the placement of the eyelashes, which are really problematic to me. Yeah, this does not look like it's as quality as the American Girl dolls.
Okay, so this might just be a joke the show just ran with.
I think it might be like they weren't allowed to use that brand name, so they were like, well, what can we call it? But have you know exactly what it is anyway.
Gotcha. And so yeah, they're trying to figure out Rebecca and Nora, like what are they going to do with the day? And Roy and Phoebe pop out of the British girl shop, and it gives Roy and Rebecca an opportunity to talk.
It's delightful.
The little girls are ahead of them, and Roy wants to know like how things are going with Mr. Man from the double date, and when Rebecca tells Roy that she dumped him.
I love it
because of what I said, and she's like, well, because what you said was right.
Yeah,
very, very good.
I love it. And she says Keely's got me on the dating app she's promoting, the one with no pictures. And he says, so now you just get a bunch of unsolicited descriptions of dicks. I am not doing it. I am not doing a dating app where you can't see somebody's pictures.
No? You don't want to just...
Absolutely not.
Oh my God, that reminds me of the joke from Keely and Colin at the beginning of the episode. When she comes in and she asks everybody to sign up for banter.
Right. And he says, like Grinder, because of the spelling. I didn't really feel like that worked, because that was one of those moments where everybody's like, how do you know about Grinder? And I'm like, who doesn't know about Grinder? Everybody knows about Grinder, especially at that age. That's not like, it feels like everybody's going, well, does that mean that he's secretly gay? And I'm like, I know what Grindr is, and I have never used the app in my life. That signifies nothing. The whole vibe between her and Roy one-on-one, I really, really liked. And I hope that we get to see more scenes of the two of them just chatting together, because playfulness of Rebecca that has since returned, since she has started to let go of her vengeance game against her ex-husband. Mm-hmm. If it were old Rebecca, her stiffness against Roy would have had its own kind of funniness. Mm-hmm. And she still has a bit of formality to the way that she holds herself and everything. But there's a nice sort of bendiness that she's got now. And with Roy, who is extremely rigid in his way, it really works well together. I just thought that they had an excellent dynamic.
Yeah. They seem to both understand and respect why each person has to be sort of tough and and like you said, rigid, and don't feel the need to try to get the other to change. There's kind of it has a feeling of both being like, oh, I recognize that in myself. I see what that is. I know what that is,
Yeah.
That it lends itself to them being really comfortable with each other.
We have Phoebe asking to have dessert for dinner, ice cream for dinner. And when he says, no, that's dumb, she says, you're right. Thank you for helping me set boundaries. She really loves you. I know, it's fucking annoying. Stop it.
I love him so much.
You love it, sir. Don't you lie to me.
And then he tells her, Rebecca, he gives her advice about trying to connect. And what he says is, like, look, listen, what they want, kids, but really anybody,
Mm-hmm.
What they want is to spend time with you, to be a part of your day, a part of your life. It's not about the parade, as he calls it, but it's not about like all the places you can take me and all the fun stuff we can do, but like just being together is really what they want to do. And then to demonstrate this, he invites Phoebe to his podiatrist appointment, which I was disappointed they didn't call it the chiropodist.
Do you want them to talk about Dr. Sharon's velocipede?
It's just I remember distinctly the very first time I saw this episode and he says podiatrist, and I was legit like, aw.
But yeah, Phoebe's like, yes, please. And he's like, yeah, see, little idiots. But yeah, this is something that I am certain is true, but I can't really remember a lot of like just chilling with my parents beyond like they both worked and a lot of times worked weekends, my mom especially. So whenever I got to hang out with them, it was kind of a thing that we were going out and doing something, There were nights where we just stayed home and watched a movie as well. But as far as just like being around when they went and ran errands and stuff, I can't remember like caring about that necessarily. I didn't really have another adult figure in my life that I had a babysitter that my mom would drop me off with, who I was just like around all the time because that's the nature of that. So I don't have anything like this to reference.
Very distinct memories. Like when I was little, my mom always worked, but when I was much younger, like early elementary school at least, her jobs tended to be like later at night or either earlier in the day, so that she would be around when I went to school and when I came home from school. But I have memories like if my mom took me out for a day of errands that weren't just like going to the grocery store, I remember those really, really fondly. Like if my mom had to run a couple errands and go to the bank, go to a doctor's appointment, and I got to go with her and spend like those hours where it was just me and her. And we would go do whatever like dumb errands. And then like my favorite thing to do is she would stop at New Jersey is lousy with diners. I don't know if you know
that.
But
Connecticut also. Yeah.
And so
they just say diner.
And they had a lot of them when I was a little kid. A lot of them were still like the facade would look like an old fashioned diner, like that tin sort of,
right?
You know what I'm talking about? And so what we would do is instead of going in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania, all the diners have bars. They're not just like going to get breakfast diners, right? They all have like little bars. She would go. My mom has never been a big drinker, but she would go and sit at the bar with me. And I don't even think she would get an alcohol drink, but she would let me order a Shirley Temple. And to this, it was like she could have dropped $100,000 in my lap and I'd have been like, no, thank you. I want the Shirley Temple. Because it was just that special. I would be like, 8 years old and have my little drink, my little cherries. And like, I was on the moon.
I love that.
Best memories ever. Like little dumb shit like that.
Oh, I love it. So, she invites Nora to just like come hang out with her while she does like work. And Nora is totally into it, like genuinely excited. She opens with want to watch a scary movie and I'll make popcorn. And which is like just a middling response, but then invites her to her job. And that's the thing that Nora gets like pumped about.
Yeah. And Nora says, and we'll come back, but Nora says, I've always wanted to see how a football club is run. And Rebecca's like, really? Since when? And Nora says, well, since you started doing it. And that is like, you can see Rebecca is about to just collapse into a ball, you know? But in between those two bits, there's the moment where Sam texts his dad when he's working out. And he's so excited. He texts his dad, you know, a picture of the Dubai spread with like a, you and mom get free tickets, you know. He's so excited.
I absolutely hated this.
His dad, tell me, what'd you think?
I just felt like there was no need for his father to come at him this way.
It was harsh, right?
He just says, to see you become a corporate shill for these evil people breaks my heart. And I'm like, dude, or you could have said, were you aware of this thing they're doing? You may want to reconsider. Instead, he says like, oh no, sends this thing and then calls him a shill.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just so unnecessary to me. The man is like so cut up about it already. You don't need to add your own like personal insult to it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Sam says, because his dad is like, do you know whatever the name of the oil company is? And Sam is like, no. So Sam acknowledges immediately that, no, I have no idea what this company is or what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And then his dad sends the link to the article about the oil spill and then immediately comes in with the corporate show and how it breaks my heart to see you doing this. Mm-hmm. And this bit hit me really in a weird way because so much has been made leading up to this moment about the relationship Sam and his father, who we don't ever actually meet, have, right? I mean, that relationship is used when Ted is talking about why he's thinking about bringing Jaime back, you know, because not everybody has this good relationship with the father. Mm-hmm. So then we get like a little bit of a window into this relationship we've been hearing so much about. Mm-hmm. And this is what it was. And while I understand, I think what the show is trying to do is like impress upon us how important this issue is so that it makes what Sam does next make sense. Mm-hmm. But it didn't feel like the father-son relationship the show had been telling me they had. No. You know?
Yeah, like he doesn't even lead things off with, did you hear about, the first thing he replies with is an emoji of somebody swearing.
That angry, you know? With the curse.
Yeah. Like it's just, he is so out of the gate shitty about it in a way that I was like, what the fuck, man? There are a lot of ways you could have approached this, and I don't feel like the son that you should be proud of and care about, this shouldn't be the way for that person. But
the only thing that I can think of is, and again, I don't like doing this for this show, and I mean it's something we end up doing all the time for fucking Song of Ice and Fire, is filling in stuff that the show should have done. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, making up reasons in our head to explain what we see on screen, because the show doesn't do it for you. Right. The best I can do is that I'm wondering if part of the dad's disgust is supposed to be rooted in the fact that Sam is not paying attention to what's going on at home. Right? Like, because this is a huge issue in his home area that is a big problem. And Sam has been on the other side of the world playing football in London and completely detached from what's happening on the ground at home. And so
I could see that.
Maybe his father is so angry because he feels like Sam's ignorance is part of the problem. Like, why don't you know what the fuck is happening at home right now? Yeah. You know?
That's fair.
But I had to like write a whole side story, right? You know, to get there.
And it's probably not that hard to like find the link between Dubai. Like if Sam had done any research on the group that he's partnering with, it probably would have shown up pretty easily.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
I
but like
think,
you're saying, it's
I
not
think,
in the text.
yeah, I think the show did a misstep by having the dad call him a shill, because that implies some sort of complicity, right? And should have focused more on, I can't believe you weren't paying attention, or I can't believe you didn't look into this. I
Yeah.
thought I raised you better than that. Something like that would have felt more, you know what I mean? But
Agreed.
I don't, but you know, I'm just a person with a podcast. I don't write no fancy shows. So what do I know?
So then we have the moment in the locker room where Jaime shares his idea on how he's going to make sure everybody loves him again, and says that he's going to buy them all a PS5 and they'll
First
fucking
of all,
love him.
Sir, you can't buy those. I have no interest in buying them, and even I know they're not anywhere available. So where are you getting 11 PS5s?
There is no way, if they are purchasable, that this group of men do not all already have
one. I love to. Ted is like, what are you going to do? Buy their affection? And he's like, I can't think of a better use of money than buying love. Like,
I mean, when you put it like that, all right, sure. But yeah, it's just like, if you're going to buy everybody something, make sure it's something that like truly they wouldn't have, instead of one of the most hard to get coveted consoles out there, which I'm sure they have if they want one. And there's also the moment with walking into Rebecca's office, and Keely has been using her office when Rebecca isn't there, because they're...
Yeah, the next morning.
Well, this is actually happens before the scene with Jaime, based on the...
Oh, right.
Yeah. And Keely talks with Nora about the firm that she is working with. A venture capital firm asks if I can do some freelance PR. And Nora says, cool, what's the hook? And sits down, and I love Keely and Rebecca exchange a little glance.
Yeah,
but then,
they're like
then
very
Keely
impressed.
says, it's pretty groovy, actually. And I was like, oh, you lost her. That's it. It's pretty groovy. Oh, man.
When she walks in with Nora, and Rebecca's giving her, thing about being a boss is you got to be on top of everything. You can't just react. And Higgins comes in, and it's just like, Rebecca, that email you sent was perfect. It solved all the problems.
I swear to God. He's trying so hard to wingman her. I love it.
And Nora is, Rebecca's just like, what the fuck are you even talking about? And Nora's just like, well, you completely blew that, didn't you?
I don't know what to make of the next scene, because right before Jaime comes in, we have we have Nate talking about trying banter and that he deleted it immediately, and then says that he's very picky when it comes to women. And when he says this, all of them look at one another in a way that felt like they were saying, is this dude for real? I can't tell if that's what they were thinking or if I'm putting that on them.
It has energy of very much like, oh, he thinks he's picky.
Yeah.
That's why he's single, because he's so picky, which is why it's so great when Nate is like, but women are also very picky.
Yeah. And Ted tries to chime in with, I'm not looking for anything romantic now either, to sort of soften everything. And, but boy, what if I did get on there and met my soulmate and it changed the whole course of my life? That'd be pretty neato. That'd be pretty neato. Ted sure would. Wow.
And they asked Beard if he's going to download it, and we find out. And the thing, too, there was a bit where Ted in the morning is leaving his house, and the young girl, Shannon, is there. The girl that we see playing soccer sometimes has the coffee because Beard's not around. And we find out that Beard had to, run because there's something he mumbled about Jane and had to, run off.
Yeah.
So Beard and Jane's relationship as sort of like background, it's a lot. It's a very intense relationship that they seem to be in the middle of, and they are doing something called digital intimacy,
sharing an iCloud account, which I now share with Rashawn.
I was going to say we're doing that now.
And Candace offered me to be on her YouTube like premium joint account as well, but I was already on Owen's. I love the family plans for all of these things. It's really helping my budget out. But yeah, digital intimacy, and I'm like, that sounds like the kind of thing that you make up because you don't have like a great thing going on in general, and you just try to make it sound like something.
I was going to ask, is that a thing?
I don't believe that it is. No.
I want some people to let me know if this is really a thing that's going on. Because I like we're sharing sharing the family plan now, and I'm just like, it never once occurred to me that, like, does that mean you can see what I download?
I don't think so.
I
don't think there's anything, so like, I'm not really sure what's intimate about it other than the fact that we have the same like bill coming out of the same place. It just doesn't, I can't even see your name to like click on, it's not like when you sign into like Netflix and you're in a shared account and you have to select your name. It doesn't do that with like the iCloud, or it's not iCloud, I guess. What we're on is like the Apple One premium account. But yeah, so I don't see how iCloud would be any different unless it's like they share a database of photos with each other. And I don't see that being possible because you need a separate email per phone, I would think. So right. I think it has to be just that they're both being billed for the same account, and that's it. And that just feels like nothing. But it's fine.
Well, yeah, they really make it sound like, because they're like, oh, if she sees you downloading that app, he's like, she'd take my phone apart with pliers.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, I don't see that, but maybe I just never bothered to go and look because I'm not nosy like that.
Jane strikes me as the type of person. She's absolutely checking out that shit.
Going through his shit.
She's all up in that cloud.
Oh man, I can't imagine being in that kind of relationship. There are so many people out there that this is just like part of the deal, is that their significant other is going to go through their phones.
That share like their Facebook accounts. Like Jane and John Smith.
Cheater and someone else Smith.
Every time I see that, I'm like, who cheated?
Either somebody already cheated, or one of you is deeply insecure and is waiting for the other to cheat.
Did I tell you well, we're not Facebook friends anymore, but we're still like friends in real life, even though we haven't seen each other in years. But I have a guy, it's a friend of Steven's, and him and his wife share a Facebook account. And they have since like the beginning of Facebook. It is so strange. And
that's really weird.
As far as I know, I don't know, but as far as I know, they are like, they don't, it's just them. They've been married forever. They don't have any kids. There's no like,
if they had it since the very beginning of Facebook, I feel like that's different. That's before we really got what Facebook was.
We didn't know what we were doing.
A little bit, but the thing that I find weird is that once you know what Facebook is, now just make your own one.
Yeah.
And how old are they?
They're our age. Well, actually, they're older than me and Steve because Steve met him. Steve was like a little kid, and this guy was already driving. Steve was like 13 years old, and this guy had a license already.
So they're like their early 50s.
And now, yeah.
Okay, but like I'll give them a pass because that feels like, technologically speaking, the age where you're like, no, I started it out this way. I don't give a shit. I'm just doing it this way forever. It's fine.
And Cloak just says something in the chat that there are a lot of older couples that share FB accounts, and it's usually one isn't interested and the other one doesn't care. And that's about what I was about to say, because the entire time that I've known them to be on Facebook, whenever I see them, it's just him. So I don't think she even uses it.
Yeah, maybe that's...
So, you know what I mean?
So there's no point in making separate ones.
Yeah, so like, I don't even... Yeah, like maybe it's just like, if you see me, know I'm married.
I guess.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's never like her on there. It's always him.
I find the way people use Facebook to be fascinating because everybody does it so differently. And the choices that everyone else makes to me are absolutely, I can't wrap my head around them. We've got people out here who just make up words and for their names. We've got people who never post a photo of themselves at all. It's all like anime or whatever. Like, there's nothing personal really to identify them for who knows what reason. There's a lot of reasons why you would do that.
I am in awe of people who manage to like not ever share anything personal on Facebook. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it.
And then there's people like Kinea who has like a basically public account. Like she will accept any friend request, and unless you act up, you get to stay friends with her, and she doesn't care. She's fine.
And everything she posts is always public.
Everything. Oh, and I post publicly as well all the time, but like it's not publicly accessible to comment on. You can look at it, but you can't interact with it. The only thing you can do is share it. But I don't accept friend requests. I have like 450 friends and that's it. And I'm fine with that. And the idea of having like accepting any request and allowing anyone to comment. What?
Like 4,000 Facebook friends. That
could not be me. I already with 450 have a significant number of folks pop up on my timeline that I'm like, who is that? How do I know them? What?
I'm cruising around 400 too. And it's entirely too many for me.
And I'm starting to get that to that dangerous place where I didn't have family on my Facebook, and then my like dad's widow friended me, and through her a couple of aunts found me, and they are the types who are reposting shit about how Facebook does not have my consent to use these.
Oh my god, I get so
photos.
Listen, my family, all my family is guilty of that.
And I don't want that dynamic on my shit. I don't want to unfriend them, but I am not interested in this.
I have like probably 15 to 20, 23 relatives that don't do anything but repost like the Bible verse of the day. All day. It's all they post are Bible verses.
Do you just unfollow them? Like, how do you handle that?
I need to unfollow them.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I don't know. I just fucking ignore it. I just scroll at this point. I just scroll. I
can't do it.
I don't have, my brain is just cottage cheese. Nothing is sticking. It doesn't matter if it's your bullshit repost Bible verse or something really, really important. None of it's sticking.
I unfollow a lot of people, and I unfollow a lot of groups that I want just for the tag. But seeing the posts from the group gets depressing because it's like about some topic that I'm just like, oh, this is a drag. So the one that I had to recently unfollow was Get In Loser, We're Going Laugh Reacting. And it's a lot of people sharing like ridiculous shit. And I started to be like, I am getting sucked into arguments with morons because of this group. I got to get out of here.
I was in the for a very short period because I like the tag. The fucking, what is it? Why are the least white supremacists, or why are the white supremacists the least supreme? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes. Yep.
I was following that because it was funny, but it ended up not being funny at all because people were just sharing like people being really, really awful, and like you're supposed to just laugh at them.
Yeah,
but it was
I can't do it. I just get drawn in.
So I had to nope out of that. All right. Okay.
So this is when Ted says, I think it's time for the team to meet that guy. And Beard immediately panics and says, no. And Ted says, oh, yes. And I was like, oh, boy, Ted's got an alter ego that he is about to bust out.
Yeah, it was pretty clear.
And indeed, we find out that his name is Led Tasso.
Yeah.
And his game is, I'm going to make everybody so miserable that they unite against me, their common enemy.
Right.
Which is a tried and true method.
They are so proud of themselves with this. I love when they are trying to explain it. Because there's a whole thing. We get a whole scene of Ted just being ridiculous, but in my opinion, it's so ridiculous it doesn't even mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Jaime is just like, yeah, we get it. We, whatever this is,
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of those, like, it kind of worked, but not for the reasons you meant. It just was so embarrassing that it sort of like pushed everybody to be like, dude, we're staging an intervention. And especially considering that this was Ted's reaction in response to like Nate suggesting, is it time to bring in Dr. Sharon? No. And immediately jumps to his absurd, childish solution. Yeah, Ted, buddy, you're going to need some help here.
There's a little bit too, right in between where we cut to Higgins and Keely and Rebecca talking about some team business.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some financial concerns.
Yeah.
And because they are paying a premium for these players.
Yeah, the players didn't all just get pay cuts once they got demoted, which I expected they would. And apparently that's not how that works because they're contracted. So obviously I should have realized that. But I thought there'd be a clause in the contract where it was if you get relegated, then that's what happens to you.
If they had better lawyers, there should have been.
It should be like that. Like that, your pay should be dependent on performance. And that's not really like that big of a leap. But you know what?
But it's funny because in professional sports, it really isn't. I mean, as far as I know, guys, it might be yelling at me, but as far as I know, when I watch, the little bit of sporting news that I get when Steve has it on, all of these guys get these contracts and then the season goes to shit and their check's still clear. Mm-hmm, you know what I mean? So
I don't.
So that apparently is just how that shit works. And so these guys are also getting paid like they play for a premier team when they're only paying for a championship team. But the money the team is bringing in isn't the same. So they're sort of in the red. And I love how after they explain it and Nora gets it and they're just like, oh, she got it faster than Ted did.
And this is when Sam comes in. And first of all, Nora is super into him. And it's a really great moment where he explains why he doesn't want to be with Dubai Air anymore. She's just like, yes, that's what I'm into. And I just love this moment for her because often seeing somebody that you have a crush on in person, you find out that they are not what they seem like. But she's just getting reinforcement that Sam is exactly what he seems like. And I love that.
It's so good. It's so good. And they are, Rebecca, Keely, all of them are really supportive. Sam is so cute. He doesn't want to put anybody out.
Yeah.
He feels terrible. Keely, works so hard. You got me this great gig, and, I don't want to be a bother. His whole energy. What is that little animal that makes the rounds all the time? The little one that looks
Capybara?
like... is that the one that's always
that's friends with everybody?
No, the little animal that looks like it's always saying, I'm really, really sorry, sir. I hate to bother you, sir. It's like
like the anteater that's sort of like curved over his little paws.
That's Sam's energy in this scene. He doesn't want to make a fuss. He doesn't want to put anybody out. He's not that guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to make people go out of their way for him. He doesn't want to be a pain in the ass. He doesn't want to be a prima donna.
Do you know... when we have talked about not crying in front of people, I put my finger on it the other day. I am fine with crying in front of people on camera because I am not demanding any labor of them because we are not in person. But I am self-conscious about demanding labor from people in person by crying in front of them. And I don't want to put anybody out and make it so that now they have to deal with me.
Right.
In the moment. Sense. And so Sam's whole energy here is just overall kind of just how I go through the world. Just give me the wrong order, I'll take it. Fuck my makeup up for my wedding, I won't say anything. Just like I really felt strongly how hard it was for him to come in here and do this. I don't know. I will be perfectly honest. If I could have done it, having just signed the paperwork, they just took the photos, the launch is about to happen. that is a really ballsy thing he's doing.
Yeah. And it's so clear how hard it is for him to come in and do this.
Yep.
And I mean, were you surprised that like everybody in the room is like, no, of course we'll don't worry about it. We got you. Like, were you surprised?
I was not surprised because he has seemed to grow so beloved to everybody. But I am kind of thinking that they may not understand the consequences when they do it.
Yeah.
This is the sort of thing that it is really easy to take a stand when what could happen is foggy and unknown to you.
Mm-hmm.
But you may wake up and really feel like, I wish I had known and I might have made a different decision.
And especially because it escalates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Initially, this moment with Sam is just about trying to get him out of this contract, right? Just trying to finagle him out of being the spokesman for this particular, this particular product or this company. But then we see by the end of the episode, it has spiraled into a full-blown protest and a political statement that is putting the spotlight on this company and their bad business. And this company is like the main sponsor of the team.
Yeah.
And this little moment is important because we understand the team has got some financial considerations.
Mm-hmm.
So they are not in a position of power right now, as far as like being able to afford to piss off their big sponsor. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So the fact that Sam comes in while they're talking about the money is really, really important. The timing of it is really important because they've got the money on their mind, and he walks in and says, I can't do this thing. And they're still like, okay, yeah, we're going to figure this out. Don't worry about it. We can make it work. So yeah, I really appreciated that. And I think, I don't want to overstate it, but that doesn't happen, I don't think, if Ted Lasso has not created this environment with all of them, and Rebecca included,
I would agree, because Rebecca would probably still be in her icy stage and wouldn't be interested in extending any sort of leeway for something like this or putting it on the line.
Yep.
Although she wants to sabotage the team. And losing a sponsor, it's like, if that was her goal, that would certainly help. So I don't know.
Yeah. That's the other thing about her goal, too, that's a little, like, nebulous, like wanting the team to fail, but also this team, you're worth $1 million, and this team is a big part of why you're worth $1 million. Do you want to hurt Rupert and ruin his team, or are you trying to go bankrupt?
Yeah.
Yep.
So this bit too, it felt like the show kind of doing a version of like kneeling, and the way that had this sort of ripple effect in the NFL and NBA and everything. And they just picked like an environmental issue, but it feels very significant that it's a Black player.
Yeah. There was the Ted Lasso fandom, as it was airing, prided itself on being really positive. All the Ted Lasso groups, anytime you had any kind of criticism, people would, come in and, we don't want to hear that here. Take your negative energy to some other group. Some of the Ted Lasso spaces online turned into a real sort of toxic sort of positivity in some spaces. One of the things that started to happen, and this episode was one of them that triggered it, was people started to be disillusioned with the show because they thought the show was being woke.
I can't believe that the very first episode where he says, if that's your dad and that's a joke, then I love it. But if it's not, I look forward to unpacking that with you. It was not enough of a signal where this show stands on a lot of things. But if this is the episode where you figure out the show is woke, I don't know what your fucking problem is, but you are dense, and that's your issue.
It's not the first, because there was an episode in the first season when Ted offers Sam the little army man.
colonizer, right?
Right. And he talks about it just makes me think of like imperialism.
Right.
Those little moments are which seem to trigger certain responses from the wider audience. And I could very well be biased, but in my opinion, those moments didn't happen with if you're talking about your father, that's a lot to unpack. It tended to be race.
Yeah. I'm shocked.
Be right. Everybody put their shock face on. Would be the ones that were really like, people would be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What's this here? And it's not what did it in this episode is the line Ted says towards the end at the press conference. When he says, when people that look like me, that was like
you get listened to.
Was a bridge too far for like some viewers.
It's just really something. Everybody just, can you get a clue? Please. No, urgently need a clue. I am too late. Begging you.
Ship a sail.
Oh there my God. Clues. It is at just the moment that anything is a little bit too close to home. Anything refers to anything to do with me as a person who has never been assaulted with this kind of pointed criticism. How dare you? All of a sudden, there's a problem. And I have in my head, I say problem with lots of like sparkles around it, the way that SpongeBob does his like rainbow.
Mm-hmm. I totally saw a rainbow when you did that.
And it's just wild that they don't see it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does that feel weird? Because it's like a little bit personal? Does it? Does it?
People did not appreciate it, and they're very happy, feel good show. And it was as if they felt betrayed. It was really wild to watch in real time as it happened.
I watch this for the fuzzies. I don't like being uncomfortable. Make the discomfortable thing not be here. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, but I got ahead of ourselves a little bit. Okay, so
what fucking else is new? We are so behind. But we pretty much like talked about how the rest of the team handles all of that. So I feel like we can just jump ahead real quick to the fact that when Rebecca calls them to tell them that he's breaking his deal, the person that she's gotten in touch with, who is some sort of like,
it's the guy that's in charge of this company, Dubai Air, that sponsors the team, and it happens to be an old friend because, of course, all the rich people know each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an old friend of Rupert's. So Rebecca's like, I'm going to call Richard, see if hopefully he'll still find me charming.
Yeah.
Maybe we can figure out an easy way to get out of this situation with Sam being the spokesperson. And she calls him, and he's just as fucking gross as you think he's going to fucking be.
Fully.
Right?
He is exactly the kind of person that would be an old friend of Rupert's.
Exactly. I love how disgusted Nora is with him. She's ill. And when they write that email later, I lived.
It's so good. That is a beautiful moment of like a tweet thread of like translating how you feel into corporate speak came to life. And I loved every second of it. But yeah, this guy wants her to get rid of Sam, kick him off the team. Yeah. And she is not going to do that. She is going to tell him to fuck off in so many words. And truly, I have no idea what happens now. I genuinely can't predict anything about what could happen next. And I am kind of glad to know now that there's going to be a Christmas episode next. Because since I had forgotten about the stakes here, the Christmas episode I was able to just fully enjoy in the moment and not think about how I wasn't getting resolution to this issue.
Yeah.
So now that I know, I'm prepared. But I am worried because what I think we should do is, if I am Keeley and I work in PR, I share everything about what Sam is standing for, lots of information about that and the like details surrounding it and why he's standing up. And I share that he is being threatened with a firing in response, and hope that people get their feelings up and get their indignation up, and that it causes some sort of like backing down, because the only thing that ever works on like powers like this is enough public outcry about something concentrated hard enough and pointedly enough for a period of time that they have to pull back. And that doesn't mean that they're going to stop working with this oil company or they're stop trashing the environment. But could we get them to pull back on firing Sam in response for pulling out? Maybe.
Well, we know that Sam is okay, at least because Rebecca says she's not getting rid of Sam.
Sure.
So after where they all block the name out and he calls, and Rebecca doesn't take the call towards the end of the episode, I think the implication is that it's past wanting to get rid of Sam because the whole team has participated in this protest, right?
Okay.
So
what I'm really thinking of is finding new money.
There you go.
That if you share all of this and the fact that they were going to fire him over this and she stood up for him, but now the team needs help.
Right.
I feel like that's a really good way to get maybe some like companies that are more ethically, at least publicly facing, responsible, on board. Agreed. But I think that's the key. You've got to like let everybody know about what this almost cost him, for standing up for what he believes in, and just that they're the villains that he accused them of being.
So that the stakes at the end of this episode are very much like you said. Like it becomes clear they're going to need somebody else to show up with some deep pockets, and we need them to show up expeditiously.
Yeah.
I want to say really quickly, I love Ted and Beard and how excited they are to explain to Dr. Sharon about the lead tasso.
Oh my God. And she doesn't immediately knows.
Because
it's very obvious.
We all immediately knew.
This is extremely obvious. Yes.
But in their eagerness to explain, they go to try to tell the story about a Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh my God.
And when she does not have the reaction that they're expecting, their understanding is, well, maybe she doesn't know what Chuck E. Cheese is. And he says, well, maybe you all call him Chester Cheddington like the third or something.
And you know what Chuck E. Cheese's actual name is because you recently learned it. Do you want to tell us all?
It's Charles Entertainment Cheese.
That is so pitiful. It could have been anything. Yep.
I want to say, because I don't know where we are in the episode because we've been all over the place.
We're all over, but the next thing I was going to talk about was the lead tasso bit, because he's talking about, or you want to play with the little air hole nub? Is that what you want to do? The little part where you put the air in? Y'all want to be married to a ball?
You want to make it your girlfriend?
What is he even doing? He's like, and when Beard snaps him out of it, it's like he was in a fugue state, like he was the Winter Soldier, and he just had to be fucking retrieved from his
It's as if they took him into some room. They have like a secret chant they say, and then he just turns into this alter ego and has no memory of it. It is not explained. I don't have any answers. Don't ask me any questions.
This is giving like you know how there's that whole backstory with what's his Hyde Diddley-O neighborettes, and he has like the keeping all of his feelings inside until he finally loses his temper and then just starts to like go at people. It feels like this is the alter ego created from Ted jamming down the negative feelings and that he feels throughout the day.
If it isn't Lisa Simpson, answer to a question nobody asked. He looks right at Krusty and says, I don't know you, but I don't like you.
Yeah, there's a lot here. But it does lead to like Jaime like cutting him off and just being like, come on, dude, what the fuck? And everybody low-key being like, yeah, okay, thank you. And I really did kind of like that it worked, but not how he intended.
Right. The whole episode ended up just being the entire team uniting against a common enemy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the enemy turned out to be like Sam's thing.
Yes.
But so we also get Nora giving Rebecca like the you got to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Speech. And tells a story about getting caught smoking, which she says is just chewing gum. And they're all like, chewing gum? And she's like, yeah, well, it was smoking, but I just don't feel like a lecture. And I just really appreciate that so much. Mm-hmm. I love that. But, and just being like, you know what? Sometimes you have to just fucking do the right thing, even if you lose.
It sucks, but it's true. And I've really grown to understand how much it will haunt me if I don't later on, because it does. It follows you.
It does. It really does.
Whether it's like, you know, in any sort of literal material way or just mentally, doesn't matter. It will follow you somehow.
You will be waking up at 2 o'clock.
Oh, boy.
What? One way or the other. So you might as well just do the fucking thing. So when you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can be like, God damn right I did that shit.
Yep.
And then you roll over and go
sleep
back
like
to
a baby.
Sleep.
And so I'm going to jump ahead here to Jaime going to Keeley.
That's because where I was going to.
He is like, I am trying to figure how to navigate what's going on with the team. And I need somebody to talk to.
A Roy on the wall. I don't know if it's a cutout or
it's
if it's
a decal.
Hated, but whatever. It's so good. And he walks in, he looks at it. He looks at it for like a whole 10 seconds.
Sucks to suck, Jaime.
But yeah, he comes in. It's clear he is about to require a lot of emotional labor from Keeley.
Mm-hmm.
She is busy.
Yep. This bitch has shit to do.
She tells him she's scrambling right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he just sits down and starts
He makes his ass
anyway.
comfortable. Mm-hmm. So she leads him to the therapist's office.
She does some queen shit. She says, come walk with me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just talking while they're walking. She walks his ass to therapy, y'all.
I love the look Dr. Sharon gives him. Like, she glances at Keeley in this, like, good girl kind of way. Mm-hmm. And then looks at him like, didn't think you'd be sitting here, did you? And then he says, so, I mean, what do I do? Just, like, sit and blather on and on about myself? And she says, basically. And he goes, nice. And I was like, honestly, yeah, it kind of is.
That's the thing too, right? Because I love it so much for so many reasons, but also like people are always, therapy, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is the people who are like the most resistant to going are the people that usually spend the most time talking about themselves anyway.
It's true.
You know, so if you could just get them in the fucking chair, they wouldn't have any problem at all participating in it. They would not have any problem at all if you could just get their ass in the office.
They might have a problem with the feedback. That's a whole other tale.
Listen,
but yeah.
One step at a time, ma'am.
But the number of men that should be led straight to therapy instead of talking to the nearest woman.
It's a fucking dream.
That's just... This is why therapy and all medical care of every kind should be free, so that we could just do this and not have to worry about how is it getting paid for? Does he have an appointment? Nope. Somebody is just there and it's ready. Here we go.
She says, this is Dr. Sharon. Unlike me, she gets paid to listen to you talk. And then Keeley just leaves. Mm-hmm. It's fucking so good. All right, so yeah, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
I guess we should get to the big part of the game.
Yes. And I really love this because we have everybody just... First, we've got Roy with his commentary, and we have some old footage of him fighting Jaime Tart.
I hope, what does he say? I hope Jaime dies What does he say?
I can't recall exactly how this is. See, I'm trying to.
It.
Jamie Tart is a Muppet, and I hope he dies of the incurable condition of being a little bitch.
There it is.
And this dude, come on, tell us how you really feel. Okay, you're a shit manager. Not about me, twat. Well, he asked for it. He did ask for it. But yeah, everybody, like, we have Sam, and he pulls masking tape and covers up the Dubai Air logo, and everybody's like, what's up, bruh? And he explains, and they're like, well, duh, give us the tape. Mm-hmm. And Jamie also is like, all right, give me the tape. And he's like, really? And Jamie just says, we're a team.
Yeah, Jamie's the first one that's not Nigerian to do the tape, because it's Sam, and then it's Isaac and Bumbacatch, or however you say his name. And then Sam is like, I don't expect everybody else to do that, but you have to understand why as Nigerians, we have to. And then there's like a kind of a pause, and then Jamie is the first one to step up. And then it's just like off to the races. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
And so then they go out on the pitch. They all have the masking tape. And then we don't see any bit of the game. Mm-mm. And then it cuts immediately to them coming back into the locker room. The game is over. Or not the locker room, but the game's over.
Yeah.
And I think it's a press conference with Ted and Sam.
Mm-hmm. And Sam is sort of standing off to the side. And Ted is just like explaining that, yeah, I'm proud of what they did. I think they're like wondering if Ted is going to reprimand him or something, or try and cover his ass.
Yeah, they're like, did you know the team was going to do that? Did you put him up to it in some way? And Ted is just like, yeah, no, none of this. I didn't know anything about any of this. This was the guys. This was Sam and the guys. I didn't have any part of this.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have Rebecca getting the call, hanging up on him. And I like Nora saying boss bitch, which I very much appreciated. And Ted hands over the reins to Sam, and they basically ask him directly, are you accusing Nigerian officials of corruption? Yeah. And he's like, yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, shit, this is going to be rough.
At first, I think they try to be like, I think it's Trent who has the first question. And the first way they view it is like, do you think your little protest cost the game?
Right.
And Sam was like, yeah, I'm not here to talk about football. Mm-hmm. What we're doing right now is talking about this other thing. Yeah. And then they like recalibrate and are like, all right, what are you saying about the country? And that's when Sam is like, yeah, corruption and da-da-da-da-da. And it just goes a different way. And then Sam is walking with Ted, and he's feeling a little like good, but also overwhelmed and worried. And they walk into the locker room, and there's a full-blown celebration happening. People are drinking. Everybody's in high spirits because, yes, they lost, but they didn't tie.
Yes. They broke the tie streak.
They broke the tie streak.
And I love that Nora gets into the photo with them, and Sam has his arm around her, and she's just clearly going to like faint. She's so excited.
She's so excited. And Sassy's back. She came back for the game. And it ends on like I was curious how you would feel, because having Jamie come back, I knew you were just like, how is this going to work? You know? And I don't know. Did you feel like the show? Were you satisfied? Did you feel like
mostly
it was cheap, a shortcut? Or
the only thing that I still have a problem with is that Ted didn't talk to Sam first, and that hasn't been addressed. That's the main thing for me.
That's fair.
Like, I find it really weird how much of a point they put on Sam being upset, and then to just not address it at all is really weird, and I don't get that choice.
Especially because this was such a Sam-centric episode.
Exactly. Like, this feels like if we're going to have this conversation, now is the time to have it.
It would have happened here, yeah.
But otherwise, like, to a degree, it can be really wild how much you just deal with the fact that somebody around you sucks and has done shit to you, and you just have to keep working with them. Like, that's just sort of how it goes a lot of the time.
Facts.
Yeah, so I guess this is believable to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at some point we have to think about, like, whether or not we feel like Jamie did enough or enough was done to move forward. When you think about real life,
How often do you get that?
You don't even get this much in
Yeah.
real life. Usually you get fucking nothing.
Yep.
And you still have to figure out a way to make it work and go forward. So
You get fucking nothing and you like it.
Like it.
All right. Well, real quick, I just want to say hi to 2 new patrons that we got during the vacation. So hi to, and forgive me, I meant to have this prepared, but I didn't. Hello and welcome to Alina Dragomir and Rob Yorkowski.
Hello.
Welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for signing up. I don't remember what tier you're at, but maybe you're able to come to these lives, which would be really fun. I enjoy it. And I recently released the Unspookled for this season. I'm just going to do 1 per season from now on because I can't manage how much they just take so much work. But hopefully y'all have enjoyed that. It's for all patrons. Those who don't know, it is a series of like spooky real stories that have happened to people. Well, allegedly happened to people. Who knows? I can't verify them. But I read the stories and edit in sound effects and stuff and just try and make it a spooky atmosphere. And I really freak myself out while editing it. So I feel confident that it's a spooky experience when listening to it. But of course, I am also a giant baby. So it may be totally not something that scares anybody. And I'm just like, I am. Anyway. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up? No, ma'am. Rashawn?
I cannot believe how close we cut this shit at 1:59 and 15.
I'm telling you. But we did it.
Thank you for everybody for joining us.
Thank you so much, everybody. I hope that you missed us terribly.
Week. Come back and join us for the Carol of the... What's it? Carol of the Bells?
I don't remember.
It's the Christmas episode.
The Christmas one. Y'all know.
You guys all know what it is.
Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
No. My hands won't be tied down, and I will not lay them down, 'cause I can finally see the truth. So simple but so clear, accepting an ocean's depths were out of reach for me and you. If you're coming up for air, breathing in, you know I'll be there when you first begin. And when everybody's telling us we have no time, we'll prove them wrong.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.